Now, while we had the governor in front of our cameras this morning at that groundbreaking, we wanted to ask how her meeting went with Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson this week, following the chair's request for the state for $55 million to help close the county's budget gap of well over $100 million for its homeless services department. Here's what the governor had to say to us today.
And my message to the county is, let's work together to prioritize every dollar you can put towards homeless services before we talk about any additional investment from the state.
So we asked what the likelihood is that Multnomah County would get more state money for homelessness. The governor was cautious.
Well, currently right now, if the legislature passes my budget, we would already be heading towards $60 million into Multnomah County for homeless services. They're asking to double that amount. I don't know if that's achievable, but what I know we can figure out with the resources we have, we're going to serve people the best we can. But that takes the county, the city, the state, and Metro all working together.
Of course, we'll be watching to see how that all shakes out. Now, one of the biggest issues that Multnomah County and the city of Portland have struggled with when it comes to the homeless crisis is accountability. We showed you during yesterday's city-county meeting that they still are not tracking numbers when it comes to how many people are newly becoming homeless and how many people are leaving the streets, leading to stunning statements like this one from a county commissioner.
I'm concerned about the continued lack of data of inflow and outflow because we actually have no idea whether there's a net reduction in homelessness without that, and we've been promised that for a while.
No idea if there is a net reduction in homelessness. Yeah, not great. But if you thought issues around homelessness accountability could not get any worse, think again. The Multnomah County Auditor released a report this week after looking into the Homeless Services Department and if they've implemented recommendations that were given after a previous audit in 2023. Here's a little graph to show you that progress of the 8 recommendations given. The smallest blue bar is the 1 recommendation the county has implemented. The gray bar represents 5 recommendations that are in progress, and the orange bar represents the 2 that have not been implemented. And let's just say those 2 seem crucial. Let's start with those. First, and arguably the most important, the Homeless Services Department did not implement a recommendation that directed executive management to, quote, communicate their strategic vision to providers and staff. One would think the strategy for a Homeless Services Department would be to get people off the streets and into a more stable situation. But no such strategic vision is being discussed, apparently. The other recommendation not happening is to remove a conflict of interest from program specialists. The audit says those specialists are both the primary advocate for homeless service providers and the ones who are supposed to hold those same service providers accountable for meeting goals. The audit says that should not be happening for reasons that seem obvious, but the county did not agree with this recommendation, writing, they provide routine discussions about strategies for balancing those dual roles occurring between program staff and program management, which includes reviews of best practices and tools, as well as problem solving. Now to the 1 recommendation that has been implemented, hiring a contract management specialist. In fact, the county has hired 3 senior positions which oversee that process. As far as the 5 recommendations in progress, those include things like communicating between service systems, certain payment issues regarding contracts, ensuring fairness among providers, and training staff on reviewing equity plans. The audit also included quotes from some of the 73 service providers themselves and how they view the Homeless Services Department. These providers are the groups and nonprofits the county gives money to in order to address the homeless crisis on the ground. Several expressed frustration. One said, program teams we providers work with regard themselves as advocates for providers but are still expected to enforce contract requirements. Another added, it seems now that joint office staff are being put in a position where they aren't able to support us in key ways anymore, and we are struggling. The results from that survey in the audit reveal providers said the county did a, quote, poor job in providing policies that are, quote, easy to understand. That actually got worse from the last time those same providers were surveyed in 2022. And providers were split on if the county gave them clear system goals. Maybe having a strategic vision communicated with staff and providers would help. The auditor certainly thought so back in 2023. Now, we asked Multnomah County for its take on this check-in of recommendations by the county auditor, and they told us the Homeless Services Department is glad this report confirms we've made progress on implementing most of the recommendations from the 2023 audit. We also acknowledge that we still have work to do to improve how we communicate our policies and vision. It may take time to have the desired impact for all staff and providers. They went on, saying coordinating and communicating to a network of over 70 providers is work that will never be done. It will require continuous improvement. And the statement went on to say the county is committed to making those improvements.